Hi guys, today we're going to be looking at acid-base reactions, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to be looking at a baking soda and vinegar volcano. And so let's take a look and see what's going on here. Okay, and so in chemistry we have something that is called an acid and a base. Okay, and so an acid in chemistry is simply a species of a substance that when it dissolves in water, it's going to donate a proton to another species in what's called a proton transfer reaction. So in other words, an acid is going to be a molecule or a compound that contains a lot of hydrogen ions, and it likes to donate those hydrogen ions or those protons to other compounds. A base, on the other hand, is going to be a substance that produces hydroxide ions when it's dissolved in water. And so a base likes to accept protons in a proton transfer reaction. So in other words, bases are molecules or solutions that are kind of low in hydrogen ions, and they like to grab those hydrogens off of other compounds. So what we're going to be looking at today is we're going to be looking at the acid-base reaction. And an acid-base reaction is going to involve the transfer of a hydrogen atom from the acid to the base. Remember, an acid is a proton donator and a base is a proton acceptor. So when an acid and a base combine during a chemical reaction, they're going to react to neutralize any acid and base properties that the acid and base may have. And then they're going to make water and a salt. Okay. So it's very basic. A acid and base reaction simply says an acid is going to combine with a base to make a water and a salt. So in order to make our vinegar baking soda volcanoes, we're going to use two main ingredients. We're going to use vinegar and baking soda. Baking soda is also known as sodium bicarbonate, and it's going to be a weak base. Vinegar is also known as acetic acid, and it's not truly just the acid. It is an acid, but it's a solution of about 5% acetic acid and 95% water. That's the makeup of vinegar. Okay, and so this is great because this means the 95% of water that makes up vinegar is going to give our reaction an aqueous solution in which to occur. Okay. So the water and the vinegar is simply our aqueous solution where our reaction can occur. And that 5% acetic acid is what's going to be reacting with our sodium bicarbonate. Okay. And so our reaction then is sodium bicarbonate reacts with acetic acid to form carbon dioxide, water, sodium ions, and acetate ions. So what's going on? Okay. So basically our baking soda is going to mix with our vinegar, and our baking soda base is going to take a proton from our vinegar acid. Okay. Our sodium bicarbonate, it's going to dissociate into a sodium cation and a bicarbonate anion. And the bicarbonate anion is going to bond with the hydrogen cation, which forms carbonic acid. And that's going to be important for later. That's going to kind of provide our bubbles in a little bit. The acetic acid is going to dissociate in a hydrogen cation and an acetate anion. And those two ions are just going to simply remain in solution. Okay. And so remember when we made carbonic acid just a couple steps ago? That carbonic acid is going to decompose or break apart into water and carbon dioxide. And the carbon dioxide is going to be a gas that's going to be released during the reaction. So when that carbon dioxide is released, it's going to be less dense than the other reactants in our container, and it's going to rise to the surface of our container. That's where we get that bubbly effect, okay? But since it's heavier than air, it doesn't just escape out. It's going to kind of hang out at the surface of our container, okay? And eventually, if the reaction goes on long enough, it's going to keep going, and eventually it's going to overflow the container, and it's going to give us our lava eruption effect, okay? So let's go ahead and see if we can't watch that in action. Okay, so in order to run my baking soda volcano reaction, I've got my container here. I've got my baking soda or my sodium bicarbonate. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons. I'm going to put it in a paper towel. I'm going to kind of fold it up and make me like a sodium bicarbonate burrito kind of thing. I'm going to try and get it into my jar. Okay. And I've got 1 cup of vinegar or acetic acid. Hopefully, I don't make a huge mess. Put acid into the bottle, and you can see it's starting to mix already. Okay. We're getting that bubble, that carbon dioxide that's getting released, and it's concentrated at the top, and then it's basically spilling over our container and making our volcano. Okay. I'm going to move this just a little closer so you can really see that fizzy reaction happening. Okay. So there's our volcano eruption with our baking soda and vinegar volcano.